Hey guys, welcome back to 22LR, where we focus on the competitive side of the rimfire world. We are back out here at the range today. NRL management released the October Course of Fire, our annual Halloween match. We were at home building a closet system for the young ladies that live in my basement, my daughters. And we went on Facebook and we saw that management dropped that October Course of Fire, so we figured we'd pack up our gear, we'd head out here on this beautiful Colorado afternoon and shoot this thing for you guys, give you some tips, give you some tricks. Hopefully we get some trick-or-treating in here. All right guys, enough yakking. Let's go ring some steel with lead.
All right, guys, let's get going with one position. What a treat. We have a 1/4 and 3/4 inch on a KYL rack at 35 yards, a 2 and a 3 inch on a double hanger at 75 yards. We're going to start standing, rifle and all gear in hand, mag in, action open. On the start signal, the shooter will take a prone position and engage all targets with one shot each, starting with the KYL rack from large to small, and then the far targets large to small. The shooter will then repeat the engagement. The final 2 shots will be taken at the 1/4 inch KYL target.
Yep, ready.
3, 2, 1, engage.
All right, guys, let's get going with this month's Course of Fire. Let's start things off with one position. What a treat. It is kind of nice to slap your rifle down, spend some time behind it in a nice, relaxed, prone position. This stage seems pretty easy on its face, but the reality is that 1/4 inch KYL target accounts for 40% of your points for this stage. So hitting it is crucial, and hitting that target is actually going to rely heavily on your fundamentals. At your range sessions, do yourself a solid. Spend some time at the bench, working on that trigger control, working on your follow through, because a stage like this will really reward you for doing that bench work. Something else you should practice while you're at the bench is holdovers. Can't stress it enough, guys. Practice those holdovers. They really do come in handy when you're doing this kind of shooting. Now, as you guys can see here, I'm shooting at a bladed target. Every time I hit that 3 inch, some of the splash ends up knocking the 2 inch and blading it away from me.
Oh, gee, many Christmas. I've got one target that's completely bladed.
The accuracy of that Voodoo 360 really does show right there.
I got it though. All right, last 2 shots.
So on this stage, I didn't make a whole lot of adjustments to my parallax, but I definitely recommend adjusting your parallax. You want that 1/4 inch KYL target to be crystal clear for these last 2 KYL shots.
All right, crystal. Yeah.
That might actually be a fun one to include.
All right, that one's down. Let's get on to the next one. Let's keep it rolling with trick or treat, each block twice. We have a 3 inch on a single hanger at 100 yards. We're going to start standing, rifle and all gear in hand, mag in, action open. On the start signal, the shooter will engage the target with one shot from the following positions. Prone, left of the center blocks, shots 1 and 10. Left center block, shots 2 and 9. Top of the center blocks, shots 3 and 8. Right center block, shots 4 and 7. Prone, right of the center blocks, shots 5 and 6. Note, no part of the rifle or equipment can touch the ground when shooting off of the center blocks.
Okay.
All right, here we go with each block twice. Now, this stage is the most difficult stage of this month's Course of Fire. Now, I anticipate most shooters are going to time out on this stage as they work their way through this Course of Fire. I have a feeling that this one is going to be the one that kicks most people's butts. It definitely kicked my butt while I was shooting it. Now, it was pointed out in the stage description that the shooter cannot use a bag while shooting off of the center blocks. No part of the equipment or rifle may touch the ground while shooting from the center blocks. But it doesn't say anything about using the support during the prone shooting. So I thought it was smart to go ahead and use my bag to do all 4 of the prone shots and just abandon the bag, toss it over to the other side when it was unneeded for shooting the center blocks. Now, I like to take this folded up position on these low center blocks like this and anchor my elbow to the concrete, just like you can see there. Anchoring that elbow definitely makes me more stable. And at this range, we're shooting at a slight uphill incline. So if your range, you're shooting straight out or you're shooting slightly downhill, you may not be able to do this. But I don't think going prone on the center blocks is necessarily the right thing to do because I feel like it's going to burn too much time. And with this amount of movement, I think that time is really going to be of the essence for this stage. Now, something that helped me save a lot of time on this stage was having my bag attached to that Mini Plate Pro. I think if I was having to fool with my regular bag, I think I would have timed out every time I tried shooting this. So here, I'm looking for an anchor point from my elbow as I sit in this cross-legged position. I tuck my elbow right inside my calf there and find an anchor point to get me to the ground, make me nice and stable. It tends to work for me, but I know not everybody's going to be able to do that. But something that you can do while you're at your range sessions is really practice those oddball positions. Find little things to shoot off of. That 2-gallon bucket is a great way to practice folding up and shooting from uncomfortable positions. I can promise you, you'll see the results.
Clean.
All right, that's 2 clean stages down. Let's get on to the next one.
That was tough.
Next up is choose 2 candy buckets. We have a 1 and 2.5 inch on a double hanger at 50 yards and a 5 inch on a single hanger at 100 yards. We're going to start standing, rifle and all gear in hand, mag in, action open. On the start signal, the shooter will take a position on one of the barricades and engage the near targets from large to small with 1 shot each, and then the far target with 1 shot. The shooter will then repeat the engagement from a different barricade. The shooter will then repeat the engagement from the first barricade. 1 barricade will not be used. All shots are hit to move on.
Yeah, shooter's ready.
3, 2, 1, engage.
Well, it looks like it's time for us to choose 2 candy buckets. Now for this stage, I decided I was going to shoot from the 2 buckets. This allows me to just stay in a seated position working between these 2 buckets, and it allows me to use my Weebad strapless behemoth, which I have added a strap to, so I guess it's not technically a strapless behemoth anymore. Anyway, this bag is a great utility piece for my kit. I love using it. I use it pretty frequently when I'm shooting these stages or I'm shooting X matches. It's got just the right dimensions to really make itself very valuable for this kind of shooting. Now, shooting at a 1-inch target at 50 yards off of a bucket like this without any kind of support for the rear of the rifle is going to be challenging, which is why I ended up using the strapless behemoth. I really wanted that rear support to anchor the rifle on that lower bucket. And the nice thing about this bag is it does fill the void on my body when I'm shooting off of the 5-gallon bucket as well. It made a lot of sense just to make as little movement as possible, so switching back and forth between these 2 buckets is what made the most sense to me when I decided how I was going to shoot this stage. I will add, this is also a really good stage to deploy, if you have one, the Gray Ops CNC Mini Plate Pro. Few things have gained a permanent spot in my bag, but this was one of them.
I'll take a clean.
1 more clean stage down. Let's get on to the next one. Following the buckets, we have a frightful number of targets. We have a 1/2 and 1 inch on a KYL rack at 61, a 1 and 1.5 on a double hanger at 69, a 1.5 and 2 on a double hanger at 82, a 2 and 2.5 on a double hanger at 92, a 2.5 and a 4 inch on a double hanger at 100. We're going to start standing, rifle and all gear in hand, mag in, action open. On the start signal, the shooter will take a position on any rung of the ladder and engage the targets from near to far, large to small. That's it.
Okay. Shooter ready?
Shooter ready.
3, 2, 1, engage.
Well, we've chosen our 2 buckets, and now we're on to a frightful number of targets. Now what we got going on here is 1 position, but we have 10 different targets and 10 different shots. These targets are relatively small for the ranges that they're laid out at. Take your time when you're shooting this stage. Make sure that those small targets, you feel good about it before you start to squeeze that trigger. Now, I know some guys are going to use holdovers for this whole stage, but I felt it was going to make me a little more precise, so just go ahead and use my turrets for this one. That's what made the most sense to me. Now, something that didn't make sense while I was watching this was I don't understand why I didn't decide to go prone. In retrospect, I think it makes more sense, but for some reason I was just in a sit on my butt kind of mood that day, and I decided I was going to shoot all these things from a seated position. I think either or is going to be effective for you. I mean, I was able to pull out all 10 impacts on this stage from this position here, but I think a lot of that has to do with A, the accuracy of my rifle, B, the equipment that I chose to use, which was the Gray Ops CNC Mini Plate Pro, the Weebad strapless, or should I say strapped behemoth, and the Armageddon Gear Mini Plate Pro pad. Speaking of equipment, something you don't see attached to my rifle is a bipod. A bipod in this kind of stage is absolutely unnecessary, and there is no point in having it attached to your rifle. All it's going to do is cause you headaches.
Clean.
Another clean stage. Let's get on to the last one. Last up for this course of fire, we have a trick and a treat. We have a 3-inch on a single hanger at 63, a 6-inch on a single hanger at 100. We're going to start standing, rifle and all gear in hand, mag in, action open. On the start signal, the shooter will engage the targets with 2 shots from near to far in the following order. Left half of the sawhorse, middle of the sawhorse, right half of the sawhorse. The shooter must perform a magazine change after the 2nd shot, but before the 11th shot. The shooter will yell done to stop the timer. Note, this is the bonus point stage where you earn 0.1 bonus points per second remaining on the clock.
Shooter ready?
Shooter ready.
3, 2, 1, engage.
Well, with the frightful number of targets behind us, we are on to the last 2 targets of this course of fire. Now, these are both roughly 6 MOA targets, but that 63-yard 3-inch target could be missed if you get a little hasty and start slapping the trigger. So, even though this is the time stage, slow down, take your time, make sure your impacts count. Ruth Susie once told me, you can't miss fast enough to win a match. There's a lot of truth to that statement. So slow down, take your time, make sure you get those impacts. Now, something worth noting here is as I transition down this sawhorse is I'm making a conscious effort to try and keep my gear together. Now, of course, there's going to be subtle adjustments that you have to make to your gear as you make your way down a stage like this. But keeping it tucked in where it needs to be is going to make you faster. Now, there's some shooters in this sport that are much taller than I am. In a position like this, they could probably anchor their elbow to their knee, and they wouldn't really need this pump pillow to fill that void. But I don't like to have my elbow kind of swinging out there in space, so I use this pump pillow to fill that void and give me some connection to the ground so that I'm not having to use my core to stabilize myself. Anytime you can create bone-to-bone structure, you're guaranteed to be more stable than if you're using muscles to try to hold yourself stable.
Done.
Oh, would you look at that? Another clean.
Nice. All right, guys, that's a wrap. That's the entire October 2022 Course of Fire. Hope you guys had a good time watching this. If you're enjoying this kind of content, if you like these video walkthroughs and you want to see more of them, do me a huge favor. Reach down there, tap that like button. It really does encourage me to get my butt out here and film these stages for you guys ASAP as soon as management releases it. I found out they put it out. I hustled my butt out here and shot the entire Course of Fire for practice. I'm gonna take this thing home, wrap it all up with all the tips and tricks that I think will be relevant for this month, and I hope you guys enjoy it. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for tuning in.
As always, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you have a fun and safe Halloween. I hope to see you out on the range.